Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE Hell in a Cell preview and predictions. John, this is an 8-match show, 7 if you don't count the pre-show. I gotta know how you're feeling, brother.
It's really funny. We were kind of talking about it last night. I'd say my hype for this show, I said it was like a 2-match card for me, because there's one match that I know I'm hyped for, and then I remember there was another match on this show that I'm like, oh, that might actually be good. So then I upped it to 2. I forget what the second match was, but I know the first one was New Day versus Usos inside Hell in a Cell for the tag titles.
Yeah, I actually did end up arranging the matches in order according to how I think they might actually play out. And obviously, I think, honestly, they might end up having the world title go on last just because it's the world title and they're kind of marks for that kind of shit nowadays, even though they weren't for the longest time. But I have the 2 Hell in a Cell matches going on as the last 2 matches, with the world title match being the match before those 2.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think the tag title match is going to be great. And again, there was one other match that I thought, oh, you know, this might actually...
Styles Corbin?
I don't think it was Styles Corbin, although I'm kind of wondering that a little bit. Beg pardon? Yeah, Orton Rusev was the other one.
That's fair.
I'd say on the whole, my anticipation, if I'm being really honest, making this a 2, maybe even 3, if I get hyped up enough for Corbin Styles, I'd say my overall hype is like 6 out of 10 right now, if I'm being honest. That's as high as I'll go. And
yeah.
Hey, yeah,
that's reasonable, though. That's reasonable. I'd say I'm closer to like a 3.5, maybe a 4 out of 10. But I always seem to be a little bit less excited for these shows than you are, which, you know, the trend continues here. Not super surprising, right?
Absolutely. So I guess with that said, let's get into these matches, man. Let's start unpacking this.
All right. Well, let's get right into the pre-show match, which, as we do know now, is Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Hype Bros, Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder. I'm just going to say, I think that one of the Hype Bros is going to turn on the other. I'm not going to try and predict who because, you know, WWE likes to swerve us. But I think one of the Hype Bros is going to turn on the other. But it doesn't really matter because whether they do or not, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin are winning this thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, we've been seeing the friction with the Hype Bros, and to me, it can go one of 2 ways. They agree to stick together and change tactics, and they turn heel as a team. Or one of them realizes, wait a minute, it's not we that has to get it together, it's me, and I'm cutting you loose. And then to your point, one of them turns on the other. Either way, though, you need a catalyst for that, and the catalyst is going to be Gable and Benjamin winning. This match has gotten, you know, very little build. I know they had an interaction a few weeks ago where, you know, Gable and Benjamin won that match. And then there was a SmackDown Fallout clip where an interview Gable and Benjamin were doing got interrupted by the Hype Bros arguing. So that's like the only interaction these teams have had. So not much teeth to this. No reason why Gable and Benjamin should lose here, because honestly, I think because New Day Usos is going to be the final encounter, one would have to assume, between these two. Whoever emerges victorious, which we'll get to that later, are going to need fresh challengers. I think Gable and Benjamin may fill that role, so all the more reason for them to win here.
Exactly, yeah. So hey, we both got them winning, so we might as well just skip right past this, considering it is the pre-show match, and get to the main show. Obviously, we like to go in order, keeping non-title matches with no real stakes first, and then kind of work our way up the ladder according to, you know, championships and stakes and stipulations and all that stuff. So the least important match on this show, according to my face, is Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler, because nobody cares.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually glad we're talking about this match first, because I had a terrifying thought, and I hope it's wrong, but I never know with WWE anymore. That's why I don't even really consider any possibility to be absurd anymore, because I can't read this company. For one, Bobby Roode's winning, just to keep it more on point with the match. But more so about Bobby Roode, I am so scared, because I think you and I talked about before this in a Skype conversation that there were rumors that they may just go all the way with Jinder and have him hold the belt at Mania. What if they give Roode the babyface spot to end that reign? That's what I've really been scared about, because I think they're really high on Roode, and I think they really want to go all the way. So I've been thinking, like,
God. The really sad thing is, dude, I'm right there with you in the sense that they could do anything and it wouldn't surprise me, because they've done everything the wrong way. So when I think something's a good idea, they never do it. When I think something's a bad idea, they find a way to make it worse. So They could definitely 100% do exactly what you're suggesting, and I wouldn't blink an eye. I would be pissed, and I honestly, like, I wouldn't be able to help myself but to be pissed. But as far as surprise goes, I wouldn't be shocked one little bit.
Yeah, and that, honestly, guys, you can mark me down as a very early prediction as saying it's going to be Bobby Roode winning the title at Mania. It's not necessarily to say who the champion is yet, because I know we got to talk about the WWE title match, but I'm just kind of seeing the writing on the wall here. He's babyface. He didn't come in as a heel, which I thought was a mistake, but I think it was a mistake they made thinking, oh, he could be the face of SmackDown. Like, he could be that face, even though AJ and Nakamura are just like, bruh, like, we're right here. And that's why I think they're going to go with Roode, because you have two clearly superior options. And that's not even to say that Roode's the worst. It's just he's horrible as a babyface. So for that particular role, yeah, he is the worst. I'd rather him be like a top heel or whatever. So I think he's going to beat Ziggler, and I think this is going to be the beginning of a long road that ends with him really winning the title. And I hope I'm wrong, and I'll tell you guys what I prefer a little later in the video. But I just had to get my brain vomit out there because it's been something I've been chewing on for a few days.
Yeah, like that was my whole thing with the Bobby Roode NXT title run. I'm not a fan of Bobby Roode as a performer, but he is absolutely a convincing, sort of effective heel in the sense that he makes me root for everyone that he goes against to beat him for the title as long as it's a compelling face. Now, I think the biggest problem with his reign was that they hardly gave him any compelling faces to go against, but the one time that they did in Hideo Itami, you and I were 150% behind Hideo.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the Bobby Roode as a babyface experiment might work, but as of right now, I can't get invested in it at all. But the Bobby Roode heel run in NXT was absolutely effective, and even to the degree that it helped to catapult Drew McIntyre into the main role of like the top babyface. So
exactly, yeah.
All right, so we both agree Bobby Roode is going to beat Jobber Ziggler here, and we can move on second match, and the only other match that is not in a Hell in a Cell or has a title on the line, Randy Orton versus Rusev.
The only reason I'm looking forward to this even remotely is because they did a kind of reset on it. You know, at SummerSlam, Orton humiliated Rusev. But then on SmackDown, I want to say like a week or two later, Rusev got the win right back in similar quick fashion. So now maybe this will be a straight-up match. And if that's the case, I'm going to say the same thing I said at SummerSlam preview predictions when this whole match started. To me, Rusev needs to win. I'm looking for him to be elevated. You know, Orton wants to go back to being a heel. He made comments on Edge and Christian's podcast. Like, he hates being a face. He's always hated being a face. Every time he has to do a face run, I feel like it's like a kid doing their chores. He hems and haws, but he does it, you know, because the money's good.
Oh,
but he's
here
always
I go,
like,
making millions of dollars again. Damn.
I know, like, oh man, what am I going to do with all this money when I just want to be an artiste, you know, and be heel? But yeah, like, he clearly wants to be heel. So maybe losing to Rusev would be the beginning of that. Now, I know what you're all probably thinking. Man, John's grabbing at those straws, and you're goddamn right I am, because I really want Rusev to have something. Would it surprise me if Orton won this? Absolutely not. But I do believe Rusev needs the win more. Who's going to win ultimately? You know what? I will still say Rusev, because I think if I remember correctly, Orton went out on top most recently, interrupting that ceremony. And I think, even like this past SmackDown, I watched the YouTube clip, and I don't think Rusev got the upper hand. So I'll say Rusev, and if he did, I'll say Orton. So I'm going to use that barometer for once, but I'm rooting for Rusev all the way. I'm curious what you think about this match, though. Is this just a simple Orton's winning for you, or is there a bit more nuance than that?
No, yeah, this is just a simple Orton's winning, end of story for me. I don't think there's any way, like... I also, there was a time I recently saw there was like a Reddit post that actually went into studying whether the whole whoever stands tall on the final show loses the pay-per-view match theory, and it turns out it's only like 55% of the time, so basically a flip of a coin, so basically no real correlation.
Right, okay.
It seems like the correlation does get a little bit stronger in the main event, and then even stronger at Big Four shows. But for a B-rate pay-per-view in a middle of the card kind of match, I don't think I would ever use that as like a barometer for who I'm picking. Orton's winning, in my opinion. I just don't think there's any way they give Rusev the win. And if he does win, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I just am not going to be able to predict it. So, yeah, Orton for me.
Hey, man, that's totally fair. Let's move on.
All right, up next, we have got our first championship match of the night, and the match that the championship specifically match that I care the least about, but could end up being interesting depending on what kind of stuff happens afterwards. Natalya versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. What are your thoughts here, and do you think that the same thing is happening that I do?
I've been kind of divided on this match because on one hand, Natalya's reign really hasn't been going on that long, or maybe that's just my suffering talking. But on the other hand, not only is it just a case of, it's Charlotte kind of argument, but with her having this face run, and I'm going to say it because WWE's been cheap before, so I don't even really feel out of line saying it. Given the recent stuff with her father, WWE likes to use real life emotional stuff. The passing of Eddie Guerrero for Ray, 9/11 for Kurt Angle in 2001 when he won the WWF title as a babyface. And I think this is a similar criteria for me, just looking at the past to predict the future. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say that Charlotte wins. And I'm thinking I know where you're going to go with it. And the question is, do I agree or not? So I'm going to say Carmella isn't going to cash in just yet. So I think Charlotte will win, but Carmella isn't going to rain on her parade just yet.
When Carmella won Money in the Bank, actually it might not have been that. I think it was for our SummerSlam preview and predictions or on one of the SmackDowns that we live reacted to leading up to that. I officially predicted that Carmella was going to cash in, not at SummerSlam, but at the pay-per-view in between SummerSlam and Survivor Series. And for SmackDown Live, it's Hell in a Cell. So my official prediction is Charlotte wins the championship, Carmella cashes in and wins the title officially.
Which, hey, I actually hope you're right, because I haven't cared about Natalya, and that was long before she won the title. Charlotte, you guys know, longtime listeners already know our opinions on Charlotte, just not into her at all. And I think Carmella has been a great heel. I feel like she's lost a little bit of steam lately, but maybe that's just my interest in the product kind of waning, and then everybody kind of suffers as a result. But all the same, I think when she cashes in and hopefully wins, her title reign is going to be one of the most interesting things going on in the SmackDown Live Women's division, because I think she's earned it, and I really can't wait to see her run. So it should be quite interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really excited. I think Carmella is about the only female not named Becky Lynch on SmackDown that I actually do care about. I don't care about Natalya. I don't care about Charlotte. Naomi, her entrance is cool, but nothing else really excites me about her. There really aren't any other women on SmackDown that I can get excited about. So if Carmella wins the title and we somehow, some way end up getting a Carmella versus Becky Lynch feud, either before or leading up to and at WrestleMania, I will be so happy.
Yeah. I mean, I say let's do it. Let's get to it. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Wheels up on Carmella and Becky, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, we both officially predicted Charlotte to win, but I am saying Carmella is going to cash in, and you're saying she won't. So let's move on to our next match, which I was ordering these in order of how much I care. The next match we talked about would be Jinder versus Shinsuke, but I'm trying to go in order from least prestigious title to most. So let's talk about AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin.
God, I wish I cared about this more than I do. I never thought this would be a match that would be on the bubble, because, I do love Baron, but my God, is he taking a beating booking-wise. And AJ, I would be more excited about what he's doing with the U.S. title if it actually felt like open challenges like Cena used to do. And instead it's just been this angle of, Baron running interference and Ty wanting his opportunity and all that stuff, which, hey, on the other hand, I am happy that Ty, finally had a little something to do for a little bit. To me, God, part of me honestly wants to say Baron's going to win here, but I think WWE's going to want to keep the U.S. title on AJ for just a bit longer. I think another challenger is going to step up and beat AJ for it. I couldn't tell you who, I just don't think it's going to be Baron. So I'm going to say AJ to retain, but I honestly don't even know what you do with Corbin after this. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm almost tempted to pick him is because he's taken such a beating. If he wins the title, then he's just a heel champion, and then you just have a heel title reign. Like, that's just an easy map to draw. But if he doesn't win, who the hell does he feud with? What does he do? What does he become after everything he's lost? So it's definitely a toss-up for me, but I'm going to have to go with AJ to retain.
Well, John, taking completely out of context, you said, what does he become? And my answer to that question is United States champion. I've got him winning here. I think he's going to win the title because of a mistake by Ty Dillinger. I think Ty Dillinger is going to come out, try and help AJ, end up screwing up somehow and costing AJ the match. I think we're getting a triple threat involving these guys sometime in the next couple months.
Okay, well, I think that would be a phenomenal triple threat. I was actually...
I see what you did there.
Pun not intended, but I'll run with it. I was actually kind of hoping the triple threat would be at this pay-per-view, but you know what? If they want to actually just continue to build towards that, because then the next pay-per-view for SmackDown would be, what, Survivor Series? Which is the
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the next pay-per-view for SmackDown is Survivor Series, because I'm pretty sure the only actual WWE pay-per-view between this and Survivor Series is Raw TLC. So then we would get to Survivor Series, which I'm curious if they're going to do another bragging rights type tag team match where it's 5-on-5, 5 Raw versus 5 SmackDown like they did last year.
Right.
And if they don't do that, I think we will get the triple threat at Survivor Series. But if the plan is to do that, then I think that 1 or 2 or maybe even all 3 of these guys will be on the SmackDown team, and we'll just get the triple threat either sometime leading up to it or right afterwards. Survivor Series, I mean. So, yeah, I think Ty is going to find a way to accidentally cost AJ the match. Baron Corbin becomes the U.S. champion, and that leads to a 3-way feud. Or continues. I shouldn't even say leads to, because we've already kind of got it going on here. It continues the 3-way feud.
Yeah, I can certainly appreciate those sentiments. So I'm picking AJ to retain. You pick Corbin to win, which, I mean, your logic's certainly sound. So we'll see how it plays out. Let's move on.
All right, so up next, let's talk about Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm just going to be perfectly blunt and say it immediately. I think Jinder's retaining, because why the hell not?
Yeah, it is so disheartening to agree with you here. Because, honestly, what I was originally hoping, but of course, again, how many times have we hoped for something or had an expectation, and WWE just shits all over it? I mean,
these preview predictions are getting more and more depressing every time we do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think, after No Mercy, don't expect me to be fucking optimistic about anything, because I really thought WWE knew they had lightning in the bottle and Strowman, and they're like, nah, pass. So, to me, I thought that the whole awkward segments that Jinder was doing, making fun of Shinsuke's faces and this and that, like, that was just going to continue, and Shinsuke wasn't going to respond until I was out, and then he was just going to squash his ass. Like, that's honestly how I would have done it. Like, have Jinder run his mouth, have Shinsuke not respond, then the big title fight, he comes out, he squashes his ass in, like, less than 5 minutes. Right. But Shinsuke did respond, they did have a bit of interaction, so now it just feels more just like a standard feud. And, I have to agree with you. I honestly think, again, and I hate to say it, like, I want Shinsuke to be champion. I wanted WrestleMania 34 to be AJ Nakamura. And not saying that it can't be, but here's the thing. It might still happen, just not for the title now, which I guess fine, whatever. But I'm really scared that the WrestleMania 34, like, SmackDown main event of the WWE Championship is going to be Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal for the title. I don't know why. Again, maybe it's just my pessimism or whatever. I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, could they really do it? And the answer is yes. Yes, they could very easily. And I think it begins with Jinder retaining. So it's with a heavy heart that I agree with you. But what else can we do given WWE's track record and just this is their experiment? We know Vince hates to be wrong. So he may really be stubborn about this and be like, oh, just give Jinder a bit more time. And then he'll give him just the ultimate platform where hopefully he'd finally lose to Roode. But Roode is a babyface. I guess it's still a step above Mahal, but I don't even know. I really don't know. But I agree with you about him retaining here, and it sucks.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a wacky out of left field prediction for you.
Okay.
I think that Jinder's championship feuds at the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania are going to be, in no particular order, because I'm not trying to say who will be first and who will be second, Bobby Roode and Sami Zayn.
Oh, the Sami Zayn mention is very interesting. I mean, obviously, I agree with Roode given my whole diatribe I just had a few moments ago.
Yeah,
Zayn,
I think they're really kind of trying to gear up to give Sami kind of a main event push. I don't know if they'll actually put the title on him. And as a matter of fact, it seems really doubtful that they would. I think you are probably closer to correct than I am here in the sense that I think it's more likely that Bobby Roode wins the title at Mania and has the big WrestleMania glorious celebration that I'm sure WWE thinks everyone wants, even though most people probably don't give a shit. But yeah, I could definitely see Sami being the one to challenge Jinder for the title at Royal Rumble. And obviously, considering I'm predicting Jinder will hold the title until WrestleMania, that would necessarily mean Sami would have to lose. But I think that it would be a compelling opponent for Jinder because, again, Sami is very worldly. And, you know, Jinder's always complaining, oh, you people hate me because of the way I talk, the way I look. And then Sami can come out and, like, cut promos on Jinder in actual Punjab.
Yeah. And Sami, it's like I said last year when I picked him to win the Royal Rumble. Sami's that character that he always, like, has the story. And I feel like if they would do it this year, it's even more so this case. Because, I mean, hell, you could even, if WWE wanted to be that clever, like these two do have history. Who did Jinder beat to even become the #1 contender to begin this whole reign to begin with? Sami Zayn in that six-pack challenge. Sami Zayn was the guy that he pinned. Jinder's been going up and up. Sami's just been on a losing streak. He's even lost matches to Aiden freaking English, for God's sakes. You know, so to me...
We don't talk about that here on Twitwow, John.
But I could understand why you'd bring up Sami, because it really would be like, okay, this babyface has bottomed out, but now they're going to course correct and they're going to have this resurgence. And he even had that passionate promo with Kevin Owens 2 weeks ago, where it's like, you know, when I get my big moment, I'm going to do it my way and I'm going to be a better champion than you were. So, you know, and he said that before, to be fair, but saying in the context of his recent, you know, downturn, it may be like, oh, if Sami just holds out a little bit longer, he's really going to bounce back in a big way. So I would love that story, because even if I'm not the biggest Sami Zayn fan, I've always said the value in him as a babyface and him being able to execute a story like this excellently. So we'll see. I'm still more jaded, and I think Roode's going to get that spot, but we both agree for the time being that Jinder is not losing the title here. And again, that just absolutely sucks. So what's next?
Yeah, it does. Up next, though, we have a couple of our two Hell in a Cell matches. But before we do get to those, I want to talk about something that isn't technically a match yet. I don't think it'll end up being a match on this show, but we might get a match out of it eventually. And that is the Fashion Police. Who's the ones that attack the Fashion Police?
Yes. You know, we've exchanged theories before. You know what? I'm just going to, because I think I know what you're going to say. And if that is the case, let me just say, I'm going to just tag along with you on this one. I do think the Authors of Pain are the ones that did it, because I know we were talking and you said, like, they haven't made any appearances lately. So I don't know if you were still thinking that same thing, but if you change your mind, then I'll just...
I mean, as it turns out, they did end up being on the tapings, and they are booked for the TakeOver special in, I believe, Houston. So, I mean, you know what, though? It could be like a final hurrah. We've seen that before in NXT, where people show up for a bunch of tapings and then do one last show while also on the main roster, and then kind of, you know, that'll be like the farewell from NXT. And I don't think AOP are going to win the titles back. Actually, I don't think that the match that they're in is even for the tag team titles. So I don't think that's even an option. So, yeah, I think it's still perfectly within reason to predict that it's them, and I am going to stick with that prediction, actually.
Yeah, you know, and the only other prediction, again, which was the one made last time, and we still haven't seen them, Harper and Rowan, which, on how you dropped the ball on Harper is a disgrace. He was legitimately getting over as a babyface.
I think everybody agrees that Harper is awesome, even to the point that people that hate each other, like, I feel like if you would make, like, Jim Cornette and Vince Russo make a list of the top 5 most underrated performers in WWE, Luke Harper would make both of their lists. And I already know for a fact that Meltzer has come out and said that Luke Harper is the most underutilized wrestler in WWE, and I think you and I agree that he's at least top 5. So yeah, man, like, it's really tragic what they've refused to do with Harper, and that is literally anything.
Yeah, I mean, because for all the complaining I've done about Cesaro, at least he's on TV every week. Like, you know, Luke Harper, I feel like is the new cause worth fighting for, because if you're really going to piss away his talent with just TV absences and then just putting him back again, retreading that familiar ground of tag teams. When again, he was legitimately connecting with people as a singles babyface, had a great match with Orton at Elimination Chamber at Orton's Road to WrestleMania against Bray Wyatt. Like, the guy was primed to do bigger things, and we're here talking about it if he's even going to appear on a B-rate pay-per-view. And no offense, Fashion Police, I adore them, but in a B-rate angle. You know, this is the very definition of a mid-card angle that Harper would be doing here if he came back with Rowan, and that's really a travesty. So I just had to put those names out there again because we haven't seen them in forever. But I'll stick with Authors of Pain just because, you know, I think it works. You know, they're big, they're nasty, they would destroy an office, and Fashion Police would be easy pickings. So we'll see. Let's just bring this mystery to an end so that Fashion Police can do, you know, something else. With that said, are we ready to talk about these two Hell in a Cell matches?
Let's get into the one that I give literally zero shits about, that being Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. Probably safe to assume Owens is winning, right?
Yeah, you know what's funny about this is apparently not only is it Hell in a Cell, but it's Falls Count Anywhere.
Yeah, I saw that. That was like, isn't Hell in a Cell usually? But no, you actually have to pin the guy in the ring. So this just means you can pin him anywhere, which means, of course, like what happened at WrestleMania, they're going outside of the cell.
Exactly, and Shane's going to do the elbow drop, but I'll say, you know what, that Kevin Owens will move out of the way, he'll drape the arm over, and that'll be the 3 count.
Yeah, they're like, you know, I think we can just repeat everything that I did with The Undertaker, but I don't want to have to get up and crawl back into the ring for you to beat me. So let's just make it Falls Count Anywhere so I can end it there. Exactly.
You know, I'm still loving KO. We kind of had a conversation about Owens and how, like, even though I'm still loving him now, there's no denying. Like, I can't even blame people like yourself or like others who either have no interest in Kevin Owens or it's gotten to the point where they hate Kevin Owens, like in that X-Pac way, like, get off my TV. Because, you know, like, I can't blame them because I like what Kevin Owens can bring, like talking smack Kevin Owens, NXT Kevin Owens.
Like, I witnessed talking smack Kevin Owens, and if anything, he just kind of annoyed me more there.
And see, like, I actually went back and I rewatched, like, his stuff when he's antagonizing Renee, and I'm like, man, that is so good. But to me, like, NXT Owens is still king because he took people out, he was aggressive, and he still had that smarmy kind of asshole personality to go with it all. So, yeah, like, even I can say, for as much as I'm loving KO, this feud has been lacking. I feel like this isn't really showing his best. And I've got to say it, another Shane McMahon match. Like, honestly, I wish he wouldn't have competed again after his match with AJ because that match proved that, yeah, AJ can have a great match with literally anybody. Because, you know, I associate Shane with a slower style that's boring, and it's Hell in a Cell, a match that's really fallen out of favor with me with how much it's been abused. Thankfully, though, we do have another Hell in a Cell match that I'm actually really excited for, which we'll talk about in a second. But, yeah, I don't really have any high hopes for this. We all know it's built into that Shane McMahon spot that, honestly, when you've seen it once, you know, and you realize, okay, he lived, you know, you've seen it 1,000 times. KO to win. And do we want to touch on it?
I feel like you were getting ready to be like, I guess.
No, I mean, I'm going to say, do we even want to touch on the rumors that he may be going to Raw after this? Because I could see that. You just transformed, Jesus Christ.
What was that?
No, I said, did you just transform? Like, that groan, though. Jesus.
I might have. No, it's like, there were rumors that there was going to be another shakeup after SummerSlam, too. And, hey, guys, how did that work out? Like,
I mean, to be fair, I thought those were absurd. I could at least buy this a little bit, given the attack.
Yeah, I guess I could buy it. But then, like, they would have to make a trade, I guess. And even then, like, I don't know the rules. I think that's just one of those situations where if it happens, it happens. But I'm not trying to predict it because it's too volatile.
Honestly, look, KISS method, right? I say you have KO win, you have Sami Zayn come back after the pop-up powerbomb a few weeks later. They pick up their feud on the road to WrestleMania, and then maybe Sami could use that as a catapult to doing bigger things at Mania, per your prediction of it being either him or Roode. So, you know, I mean, hell, we've already revisited KO Sami Zayn 1,000 times before. Is it really that outlandish to think that he would stand his ground on SmackDown, but that would be his next feud? it's just an easy go-to for the company. So I won't say that he'll go to Raw, even though, to be honest, like, I don't even know what's tempting and what isn't at this point because everything's crap. So I'll say he stays on SmackDown. Shane's out of the equation for a bit, which causes a power vacuum. Daniel Bryan steps up. Sammy returns, and those two feud for stakes that I won't even begin to define because that's going beyond the realm of this video. So yeah, KO to win, and then expect Sammy to be his next feud again.
Yeah. Oh man, I can I tell you how exactly not excited I am about this match?
How exactly not excited are you?
I'm so not excited. I'm worried I'll fall asleep during it because I think they're gonna put it on last.
God, you know, and it's such a shame you say that because the match we're going to talk about next, to me, that deserves main event status with the world.
Oh yeah, but of course it is WWE, and every time something should happen that we point out as being something that should happen, and then it happens and we realize, yeah, it should have happened, they never do it then. They always wait until the month or a couple months or 3 months after that to pull the trigger when nobody cares anymore.
Right. Oh man. So
Sucks,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does because they probably won't put this on. And plus, a McMahon's in it, so you know when McMahon's in it, it's gotta go on last.
Well, it's after all, John. No Mercy had 2 WrestleMania-worthy matches. This show only has 1.
Exactly. God damn it.
Oh, Vince, you and your ego.
All right, man. Let's talk about the match that I'm sure you and I both give a shit about.
Dude, I love that Javaris even said it because I completely agree with him, and that's actually my official prediction. I think that this match, the Usos versus the New Day in the Hell in a Cell, is going to open the show. I'm 100% convinced that this is going to be the first match that we get on the main show because we got to start the crowd hot, guys.
Yeah, and God, these two deserve so much better. Oh, we're going to make up these 4, excuse me. Well, I should have said these 2 teams. That's what I meant to say. But like, it's just like, oh, we're going to make it up to you by putting you on the pre-show at SummerSlam. Really? By making you the opening match at Hell in a Cell. That's bumped up 1 spot. Yeah, but you got bumped up, though. And like,
yeah, but you're on the main show.
Exactly. Like, look, I don't want to focus too much on the negative because these 2 teams deserve better for me than that. They've done quality work. I still think the high point of their feud was the rap battle they had. That's not to say, though, that everything's been shitty because the matches have been consistently great.
I don't know, man. This past episode of SmackDown was pretty great, too, with these 2 teams.
Again, though, you know that I didn't watch anything from this past Tuesday because I straight up told you I wasn't even in the mood, but I will have to go on YouTube and watch it. To be honest, see, and this is what irks me, and I know. Honestly, I should just retire from ever talking about fantasy booking or what I would prefer because it's never going to happen, so why even bother? I'm irked that Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens got the Falls Count Anywhere stip because I feel like this could have used it so much more. Not even used it in the sense like, oh, they desperately need it. No, I'm saying they could have been more imaginative and employed it a lot better given the pacing of the matches between these 2 teams and who's involved. Like, I think they would have really just gone insane with it in the best possible way. Whereas I feel like even with Shane and KO, it's going to be very conservative because it's all a contrived means to set up that 1 spot. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like if you gave these 2 teams a Falls Count Anywhere stip on top of the Cell, it'd be one of the greatest brawls we've ever seen in tag team wrestling, particularly in a main roster context. Because I know the Revival and DIY did some.
I also have a question about this match too.
Yeah.
Is this Tornado tag rules, or do they still have to tag in and out, even though they're going to be in a goddamn Hell in a Cell?
I would assume it would be Tornado tag rules. A word there being.
Is it really safe to make those types of assumptions when it's still WWE, though?
It's never safe to do anything when WWE is in the general proximity.
And I'm also seeing here on Wikipedia that the New Day will be represented by Big E and Kofi. So
Big E and Kofi, interesting. Oh, hey. The thing is, the New Day's gotten to the point where all 3 of these men, and we already knew it about all 3 of these guys, but they've gotten a chance to prove it in the course of their run together, that all 3 of these guys are quality workers. You could have told me it would have been Big E and Xavier or Kofi and Xavier, and I would have been like, okay, cool. Like, any iteration I would have been fine with. So Big E, Kofi, that's fine. I think they're going to kill it. I actually think, this is how confident I am in this match, just for WWE to devastate me all over again. You know, I'm used to Hell in a Cell matches like not having blood or anything like that because, you know, this is a different era. But I think in this particular era where Hell in a Cells, I think, again, have been rife with abuse, the quality has diminished. This has the opportunity to be a standout Hell in a Cell, not just in this era in particular, but just in general as a great Hell in a Cell match. I think these two teams have that chemistry. I think the rivalry has that kind of legitimacy that, I mean, let's be honest here. I'm going to be frank. WWE's lucky I love Rusev as much as I do because this is, for all intents and purposes, a one-show card or a one-match card, and this is that match right here. With all that praise out of the way, because I really wanted to, you know, let it be known how much I've been loving the work of these two teams and everything else. Who wins? Considering that I look at this as a feud ender, and I think WWE actually looks at the Hell in a Cell as a feud ender for once as well, for the first time in a long time, I'm going to say the Usos definitively retain here. No more hot potato with the titles. I do think Usos are going to retain, and their next program is going to be with Gable and Benjamin, you know, between like Survivor Series and whatever the next SmackDown pay-per-view is in December and all that stuff. Like, I think that's just going to be the next program. So Usos to retain. I'm very curious, though, your thoughts about like your excitement for the match, what you've thought of the build, how you think the match is going to be, and of course the winner. So what do you think about this main event? Or not?
I'm going to just start by just kind of deflating the balloon immediately. I'm not nearly as excited for this match as you are, but I am excited for it. Like, I feel like you are like super hyped up on this match, and I'm just like, oh yeah, cool. I'm sure that'll be good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, Ashton's being I don't even know what was it?
Wet blanket.
Thank you. Yeah. Why could I not think? See, man, this is why we're a great team, because I can't think of words and then you can.
That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't want people to be like, oh, Ashton's a wet blanket or anything like that. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the match, but I'm not like super hyped or anything. I'm sure it'll be a really fun match. But, again, I would be willing to bet on it not being one of the last two matches on the show. And because of that, that kind of dampens my excitement for it a little bit because, like, we're going to basically get this match and then everything afterwards is going to be a downgrade. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like when we get to this match, like, that's the peak of the night. And then everything after that is just going to be like, okay, yeah, okay, Shane, Kevin, whatever, yeah, Jinder, Shinsuke, okay.
So, like, for you, this match is kind of like that sugar rush you get, but then everything else is just the crash, where you're like, oh god, I super low key want to die, just curl up in the ball and just get my.
This match. Imagine. What name a food that you really, really dislike the taste of?
Olives.
Okay, now name a food that you could literally just eat infinity of, and if it didn't have calories in it, you would never get sick of it.
Well, you already know the answer to that. Those coconut macaroons I'm always bragging about.
Okay. So this show to me, in your perspective, would be, and people, let's do like Mad Libs. Everyone else think along what your least and most favorite foods are. So this show is. Here's what we're doing, John. I'm going to give you an entire can of olives from the grocery store and one coconut macaroon. And you have to eat all of it, but the one rule is you can't finish with the macaroon.
Ah, damn it. That's horrible.
Yeah, that's what this show is to me.
Wow. And this is because, again, you agree with Jarveris that this match is opening the show.
Yeah.
So can I ask you something then? If you knew this match was main eventing, would that do anything for your excitement? Because you didn't.
Yes. If I knew that this match was main eventing, my excitement would go up from like a 4 to like a 6.5.
Oh, well, I mean, not the biggest raise, but still a raise. Okay, because I wanted to know like if like card structure had anything to do with it, and clearly it does. So, I mean, do you agree with me, though, that Usos are winning here, or do you think New Day?
Ooh, yeah, I hadn't even really thought of that, which is ironic because this is a predictions show. But no, I don't know. I haven't even. Yeah, no, the Usos are probably retaining. You're probably
Actually,
right.
they're not. Here's the thing, though. I have to correct myself. They're not even retaining. They'd be regaining the belts again.
Oh, well, then no. My prediction isn't necessarily an Usos win. It's a title retention. So in that case, I'm going to predict the New Day to retain.
Okay, I am glad I made that correction because they did win the titles in that Las Vegas street fight a few weeks ago. But I'm still sticking with Usos winning because I'm again, this is more about Gable and Benjamin being the next contenders. And yeah, I could just see them doing a program with the Usos, which begs the question, what does the New Day do? And maybe I'm subconsciously projecting, hoping that they go on that big singles run, like all three of them doing different things in singles. But, you know, we'll see. So you're actually picking, it's more about like a title retention for you. So you're picking New Day because they're the champions. I'm picking Usos to regain the belts and just definitively win this feud. Very interesting.
But that's the thing, though, John. They wouldn't be definitively winning this feud by winning the titles back because the New Day would still be entitled to another rematch.
That's true, but
I mean, obviously they could just kind of throw that away on an episode of SmackDown, but I just wanted to remind you that even if the Usos win the titles on this show, just because it might be considered a rubber match, like it's their third match, it's still not over because then the rematch clauses exist in WWE.
Yeah, but I mean, rematch clauses in certain cases haven't been it really is a touch and go thing when they want to invoke it and when they don't. Because, I mean, they never invoked it with AJ.
Yeah, that's true.
And all that stuff. So this may be a case where they don't even bother with it. So you know what? Even in the case that the New Day would get a rematch, I'm still going to say Usos win here. And they would probably still win in the title rematch. Because I'm still thinking, I'm very stubborn that, yeah, it's going to be Gable, Benjamin, and the Usos as the next tag team feud. So
I can dig that, man. I can dig that. I think it's entirely possible that feud could still happen for #1 contendership.
Yeah.
And we can't just throw the Fashion Police and whoever has been attacking them out either. They could still be relevant. And obviously, if the Hype Bros don't split up and if they turn heel in the pre-show, they might be the contenders for the New Day.
Yeah, Jesus.
That literally physically hurt me to say. Like, as I was saying it, I was having the realization, like, oh my God, that might be the direction they're going in. Someone just put a bullet in my brain now, please.
Yeah. No, man, you know what? I'm still gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna say nope. I'm gonna say that this is how it's going. Normally, at this point, I'd be so worn down.
Good, though. I'm glad you're not changing your mind, because every time you do, we end up being wrong together. So I'd rather be wrong by myself or right by myself than wrong together.
I'll throw you a life raft, though. This way you don't completely drown. I'll be like, no, you can still make it. But, yeah, honestly, God, talking about this show, preview and predictions, man, I still enjoy doing the videos. It's not that. It's just, it really shows you the state of WWE. Usually when we do these shows, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm even more amped now. I'm either about the same or feeling even worse, just realizing, wow, WWE, you really are utter shit lately. Yeah, that's Hell in a Cell for you. Yeah.
Guys, he said lately.
Well, no, when I say lately, I mean for a good ass while. I don't mean just recently. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, like.
So more of like a universal lately.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not talking like last few weeks right now. I'm talking a good span of time. And Hell in a Cell might have been just
basically, let's be real, since WrestleMania 30.
Yeah. Maybe I wouldn't be that harsh, but then I'd have to go on the WWE Network and rewatch all that stuff, and I have better things to do with my time. So
like play Rocket League when we're done.
Exactly. So that's Hell in a Cell. Guys, if you're not looking forward to this, I can't even blame you. If you are looking forward to this, I commend you.
But that's the thing, though, John. Whether they're looking forward to the show or not, they have live reactions to look forward to, and that should be all that matters.
There you go. What the man just said, people. I got nothing else to say about this show. We will see you all Sunday for preview or not preview, live reaction.
Live reaction.
We just did preview and predictions here. Curious what you guys think is all going to go down on this show, but we will see you Sunday for our live reactions to it. God, I hope it's not a snooze fest. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Ashton. You can take us home, bud.
All right, guys. Remember to like the video if you haven't already. And speaking of things that you can do if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and then click the little bell icon if you haven't already. Of course, when this video does get fully processed, you can leave a comment. Let us know what you think is going to happen at Hell in a Cell on Sunday. And of course, be sure to check out the description. You have 2 different ways that you can support us if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you like the idea of being able to support us and kind of show us your gratitude for our work that we put into this, and we would be very gracious as well if you would. Option number 1 would be Patreon. If you would like to be in the official TwitWow Discord channel, you can easily access that by just donating $3 a month to the Patreon. It's actually quite simple, and it is also cumulative. So every month that you add $3 into your sort of TwitWow account, that accrues, and over time you'll be able to buy live reaction requests or live reaction and review requests combined. So say, for example, you want us to do a live reaction to a 1-hour episode of NXT from early 2013 when we weren't talking about NXT because John was on a hiatus and I wasn't doing videos because John was on a hiatus. You can do that. It's only $10 for a 1-hour live reaction. Or if you want a live reaction and a review of the show, it's $15. And that's still only 5 months in the Discord. I mean, we've had people in there for 5 months already. So you guys know that you have some options. And on top of all that, we have a community goal now. For the longest time, we were trying to hit $80 every month so that we could do SmackDown live reactions. But now SmackDown has gone down in the shitter. So now we're upgrading. We're going from SmackDown to Progress. And Progress, despite being a longer show, which means that we need a higher total community goal, is also a much more quality product. And we will be watching Progress every week from Chapter 1 and forward once we hit the $120 community goal every month. So, all that being said, you can also buy TwitWow merch at our Teespring store. Follow us both on Twitter, like our Facebook page, or check out the official TwitWow subreddit, which is kind of dying. So if you want me to keep it up, you should probably say something. Otherwise, I'm probably going to take it down. And I think the only other thing that I really want you guys to remember to do is to ask Q&A questions. John's pinned tweet is the best way to do that. Just go to John's Twitter in the description. He has a tweet pinned. Reply to that tweet with up to 4 questions for me or him or both of us. It doesn't matter. Your call on that. And we will answer those on the last Thursday of October, whatever day that happens to land on. I don't even know. I'm not going to bother to look it up. So we will see you guys on Sunday for our Hell in a Cell live reactions. And we hope that you all enjoy our live reactions, whether you enjoy Hell in a Cell or not. Remember to stay tuned, guys.